What is going on, everybody? Welcome to RGTP. I am your host, Lewis, and with me, as always, is my man, Mamba. Mamba, how is we doing
You see, I
today?
cracked a little smile for you right there. Just a little one, man.
Just a slight one.
I'm ready to go to bed, bro. That's how it's
Tired,
going today.
long day already for the man, Mamba. Boo hoo to you. It's all right. It's Wednesday, and that means it is sports talk
AEW
time.
tonight, yes. Yes, sir.
And some AEW tonight. Absolutely correct. This will be the last episode in a little while. We'll be having a brief break. There will be no show on Friday. Got things to do over the weekend. And Wednesday, like I had mentioned last week, I will be attending AEW Dynamite and Rampage. So I will not be around. Catch us next Friday. Should be a banger with all that covered. And hopefully we can get some more news because it's been rather slow in the world of sports so far.
It's hit that moment where you're playing basketball, football. But if you like baseball,
right, home run derby, all-star game.
Yeah, that was fun. Yeah. I actually watched the home run derby. Yeah, I was gonna watch the all-star game and then just completely whiffed on it. Completely forgot about it.
It'd be like that. But yeah, hopefully you get some more the ball rolling on some more of these trades and NFL spring training training camps officially starting.
Hey, Jimmy G, he's been given the chance to go look for another team. So
hopefully now with the NFL essentially fully getting underway, getting these training camps going, we're going to start hearing more out of camps, who's performing, who's underperforming, so on and so forth as we get ready for preseason football, which should be awesome. But today we're going to keep it rather short as we're only going to be covering the NBA. Of course, basketball is a love here, probably number one. On this channel, there's tons of love for the NBA, and as the title says, we're going to start with the Spider. Donavan Mitchell is ready to leave, and Danny Ainge seems to be ready to part ways. But of course,
he's not.
Danny Ainge's greedy ass wants 10, 15 picks and like half your roster in order to trade for Donovan Mitchell, which is absolutely insane. But Mamba, before I ask about a couple of the teams that might be in the market, how are we feeling about this whole Donovan Mitchell situation? Because we have talked a lot of Jazz on this channel over the years.
You'd think we were some Jazz fans or something, but we're not.
They're
we are not.
Intriguing team. You were Team Rudy, I was Team Mitchell, and now it looks like neither one of them is going to be able to basically be anything in the Jazz anymore. Rudy Gobert's gone.
That would be because there is a kid over in France named Victor, and everybody wants him. However, Danny Ainge's greed is not going to allow the Jazz to have a chance at him. Like, I have been very adamant, Rudy Gobert over Donovan. I have said you can replace Donovan easier than you can replace Rudy. I understand what Donovan brings to that team. If Donovan stays with the Jazz, they're going to be 14th pick, 13th pick. You know, maybe they somehow sneak into the play-in but don't win the play-in. You know, like, they would do they'll be good enough to where they can't get Victor. They can't get Scoot. They can't get one of these top prospects, right? And you're just in purgatory at that time. The Sacramento Kings have been there. You know, they even get the top picks, but they stay there. You know, but the Jazz just need to bite the bullet and say, okay, we want Wembanyama, where we got to trade everything pretty much to be as bad as we can be. And then even there's still that chance that they don't get the pick, you know, because all of the percentage, but you have a better chance. Right. And then you have a better chance to have a higher pick. But Danny Ainge, you know him too well, Lewis. That man wants 7 to 8 first-round picks. And then it wants like 3 or 4 people that they want, you know? Like, you can't have both. With Rudy, yes, you got 5 and 4 with like a pick swap.
Yep.
Stupid amount.
Minnesota, I don't know what they were doing on
You're not about to get that for Mitchell. I do like Mitchell's pairing with the Knicks. I don't like the idea if they have to give up half their roster and all of their picks to do it, though.
Yep.
You know, but Donovan on any team is great.
Hey, you hit it right on the head. You know, as we said, I was going to talk about some of these teams. We'll start with the Knicks because he is the team that is widely associated with him. Father is part of the Mets. Grew up in New York, loves New York, yada yada. Madison Square Garden is everyone's favorite venue in general, whether you're a performer, a basketball star,
Yep.
college
Wrestler,
wrestler. Madison Square Garden
everything.
is the mecca for
Yep.
everything, and he seems to want to go there. Possibly, we'll have to wait and see. I don't think it moves the needle a whole lot on the Knicks side of things. You're getting a star, and you're gonna get a bona fide all star, not your middle of the pack. D Rose a few years ago, people wanted him in there.
Yep.
Julius Randle got in there, but it's gonna give them a true bona fide stud. But it's not gonna change anything because you just brought in Jalen Brunson, and you're about to have 2 6'1" guys in the backcourt.
They are rather short.
Might most likely have to move off of RJ Barrett probably to get Donovan Mitchell.
If they have to, don't do it. If RJ Barrett has to be included, Donovan will not be a Knick.
Right.
You laugh, but it's true. If they're like, yeah, we'll take Julius or Obi or both of them, and then like Emmanuel quickly and all the picks, like that's fine. But the pairing of RJ Barrett and Donovan Mitchell, I like it. I like it a lot, right? And they signed Jalen Brunson. Jalen Brunson just had career year in the playoffs with scoring. He just averaged I think it was 15 in the regular season. He showed he can score. Yep. We know Donovan can score. RJ Barrett has showed the ability to handle the ball, step out to the 3-point line sometimes, drive he has showed the ability to score. Adding Donovan Mitchell and Jalen Brunson will take so much pressure off of him offensively.
Yep.
That he can just step into the corner, do a catch and shoot, be at the wing, catch and shoot, can drive and get hit on the cut, and dunk the ball, lay it. The offensive flow of New York, it would be great. I really do think it would be great. RJ Barrett, I think it can be a 20-point per game scorer, up there with Donovan. But defensively, if they can keep Mitchell, and then figure out, the other pieces defensively, I think Knicks can maybe make it past the first round.
Whoa.
I really do.
Don't think so. I still think they'll get first rounded. It's definitely going to come down to what they can keep.
Yes.
It's obviously you want to try to keep probably Julius Randle.
I don't know. He can go. Bro.
I get it, but again, the Jazz and Danny Ainge are gonna ask for quickly, Toppin, RJ. They're gonna ask Quentin Grimes, who we'll talk about in a little bit, who just showed out in the summer league. There's a couple guys that they're definitely going to want to pry away. So maybe keeping Randall there might not be ideal. We obviously know Thibodeau isn't the greatest coach when it comes to playing young players and developing young guys.
Don't forget Cam Reddish is there too. He can be included.
Another young guy that's just.
I think with Julius Randle, it's not only you were terrible for us last year, but you were good for us the year prior. It's the money. If they want to get Donovan, they're gonna have to give up a big contract to get him. Yep, and exactly. Julius Randle, I think Jalen Brunson, I don't believe can be traded until the 15th of January.
Yep, everyone that signs.
So he isn't going anywhere. Mitchell Robinson, his 4 years, $60 million, that ain't gonna make it up. Yep. I think Julius Randle has a $20 million contract, and that is gonna have to be the base for the money to start making sense before they start adding all these other people.
Yeah, I hear it. I do. Switching over teams, another team highly connected to Donovan Mitchell has been the Miami Heat with a very enticing trade offer where they could include the reigning sixth man of the year and up-and-coming young star of his own, Tyler Hero, in a trade, maybe package in a Duncan Robinson, maybe a Victor Oladipo. There's quite a few pieces. I don't think Danny Ainge would want Kyle Lowry back in this trade. I highly doubt he wants Michael Conley and Kyle Lowry in his backcourt. Not what they're going for in the rebuild era. But, Miami, very intriguing, as it was clear they need a number two. And that's no offense to Bam, and no offense to Hero and Depot, who all try to masquerade as number twos. But Bam is probably better being your 3 to your 4, kind of the way Draymond is, being this defensive Swiss Army knife, gets a lot of things done. He can score here and there. I believe he averages around 17, 18 points per game last season. was an all-star. Um, huge piece to their bubble run, obviously, but I think he's better off not being the number 2 scorer. And pairing a guy like Donovan Mitchell with Jimmy Butler is going to do the opposite of your issue in Knicks land. You have an established culture. You're going to have a true defensive-minded team, and you're going to have a two number ones essentially. Maybe Mitchell would be better off as a number 2, but I think we all know exactly who and what Jimmy Butler is. But how are you feeling about what Miami can do in order to get this guy? And then I have 2 random teams to throw out there.
They probably have like the best players to offer for sure.
Tyler Hero as the start is a nice one. That's
as him being the only piece. Yes, I would rather have him over Julius Randle. I'd rather have him over who's the next team.
I'm not gonna tell you.
Oh, you're not gonna tell me? Okay, whoever is on that team probably maybe better than whoever that is. But are the Heat willing to give up all those picks? Right? Like I believe they would if it wasn't 8. If they offer, like 8 is so many, right? Like that is so many picks to give up. But if they're able to be like, we'll give you Tyler, Duncan, we'll give you 5 first-round picks, maybe, kind of like what the Timberwolves did. Maybe we can get a little bit more protection on some of the picks. But if not, I'm okay with that, right? Donovan Mitchell, you said it. Bam Adebayo showed us in the playoffs last year, like, he can score, but there was a good amount of games where he was maybe taking 5 shots. Yep. And maybe those games he wasn't asked to score, but why wouldn't you ask him to score, right? Adding Donovan Mitchell to the Heat will add that second layer of, okay, we got Jimmy covered.
Right.
Who's covering Donovan now? Like Donovan will add that up that they were missing offensively. And yeah, he ain't the best defensively, but Kyle Lowry being your point guard is going to make up for it. Jimmy Butler at the threes. Yes, like they would have the team around Donovan for Donovan to prosper. That would probably be the best team for Donovan Mitchell to go to.
Yep.
Fit wise.
Yeah. No, I hear it. They would definitely be up there to move into title contention, depending on how the bench sort of rounds out. Max Struk, Vincent, Depot, sort of seeing what pieces they can retain after, obviously.
Would they trade Omer? Because Omer showed when Bam wasn't playing, Omer was pretty nice.
There's a chance. I don't know, man. It's definitely interesting. Miami would definitely take a big leap because they're sort of connected to the Kyrie and KD in Brooklyn. There's back and forth on maybe one of them going there, but I feel like Mitchell would be sort of the easier guy. It's just Danny ain't the asking price of 8 picks. It's absolutely up.
Yeah, that man is so greedy, bro. He's so greedy. I get it. You don't want to settle. You don't want to settle for when it's your star player, right? But there are times where it's like, we're not going to be anything, and we can get the most for this man currently. What if Donovan comes out next year and he's playing for the Jazz, and it's like, oh, he's actually playing horrible because he's the only one here, and then oh, well, he's the only one there doing stuff. But what if his numbers don't reflect like, I can still do what I did when the team was around me when I have no team? What if his numbers diminish? Yep. And then you're like,
it's the Damian Lillard effect. No matter who's around you, can you be
first?
All-star?
Yes,
that's what it is.
Yes,
that's exactly what it's like.
And Jokic, I don't know. I don't know if Donovan Mitchell makes the All-Star game next year if he's on that Jazz team.
Those are the 3 guys that fit that role for me. It's the Luka. We've seen what he did regardless of the team around him. Always gets to the playoff. Jokic, we've seen without his literally two best players get into the playoffs. And then Damian Lillard for so long out in the West, just being a true star, a true superstar. And that's really where Donovan Mitchell is. If he's not out of Utah, then it is going to be a grind for him this upcoming season. But like I said, I'm going to give you two teams. I'm going to start with number 1 because they've been linked to some trades here and there. They've gotten rid of their stars, but they just so happen to place in an offer sheet for a young DeAndre Ayton. And is there any ways that the Pacers, who have quite interesting Chris Duarte, Ben Matthews, Buddy Hield, they have quite a few young pieces. Is there any chance that a team like this that's been in the trade market a lot, they make a lot of trades. They've obviously, like I said, shipped off Brogdon, shipped off Sabonis, but being linked to DeAndre Ayton and potentially nabbing him around deadline time, could there be a chance that the Pacers could try to make a play for a Donovan Mitchell?
As much as that excites me to see Tyrese and Donovan next to each other,
With an Ayton trade coming through?
But that would be what, like Miles to the Suns, and then
It's a whole
Hield,
lot of shit.
then
Oh, God.
Duarte.
There's
I don't think
gut
they
in their
have.
roster.
I don't believe that team would have the pieces to get both Mitchell and Ayton, right?
Yep.
And if they were to go for Mitchell, they have to keep Miles Turner. You have to keep Miles Turner. So then maybe Goga gets traded. As interesting as that is, I do not see that happening whatsoever.
See the vision, though, how amazing it could be? It could be pretty exciting.
Tyrese and Donovan, bro, that is the point guard that Donovan needs.
I'm telling you, they have so much young talent. Duarte, Hield, just grabbed Mathurin, still have Halliburton. Like, there's a lot of young pieces, and them trying to get Ayton sort of tells me they want to be rebuilding, but they still believe they have enough of a shot. And I blame Chicago for looking so goddamn ass last.
Before we go to the second team, staying on Ayton real quick, because a lot of people did not believe that the Suns were going to match Ayton. Right. Were you on the boat of them matching or not matching?
They were matching.
They were matching regardless.
Even if, again, the Pacers call up like, hey, we still want him. Wait out till, I believe it's January 15th. And if not, just say, all right, we're going to hold tight. It seems like they're willing to run everything back. Give it a year. If he seems to fizzle out and it doesn't seem to go that way, and Chris Paul sort of continues to fall back and the team isn't looking as good, call up the Pacers. Ask for a Ben Mathurin. Ask for a Buddy Hield. Ask for Duarte. Ask for Miles Turner. Ask for some of these players because they do have quite a few pieces over there. Again, they made the trade with the Kings. Obviously unload Sabonis and get some pieces, brought in some young pieces and a first when they traded for Malcolm Brogdon away. So like they have some pieces, but if I'm Phoenix and if maybe isn't working by January when he's due to trade or the playoffs just fizzle out, I could see moving DeAndre in, but there's no doubt in my mind that he was just gonna walk freely to Indiana. There's no way in hell because they don't have Bismack Biyombo. Is that who their third center was?
JaVale is now with the Mavs.
Exactly. Like
Kaminsky,
where is
Dario?
Come on now. Come on.
Sorry to like bring that up.
No, I hear it. It was just so
it was crazy.
Yep.
That man was their first overall pick. I understand there's some bad blood, but it seems like he put out that message like, had my kid here, got drafted here, grew up here, played college ball here. Like, Phoenix is where I wanted to be, right? Exactly. Obviously, he's not going to come out and be like, oh, they said they weren't going to pay me, but they paid me anyways. Losers, right? Like, he's not going to do that. He's going to be, I'm here to play. I'm happy. Like, he's happy and he wants to play basketball. That's a good sign, right?
Yep.
For anyone who thought he was just going to walk, that's not how it works. They're not going to just let their number one overall pick, who was picked over Luka, Trae Young, like all these, like Jaren Jackson would even be, like there are these players and they drafted DeAndre Ayton number one because they saw what he could be. There was no way, even though it was $133 million, that they were not going to match it. It would not have made sense, and the Suns would have been torched by everyone if they did.
Yeah, no, I wholeheartedly agree. I didn't see it happening. But the last team we're going to talk about, another random team that is in trade talks, always willing to make some moves. Their general manager is not afraid. What are the thoughts that a team way up north over in Canada decides, hey, we want to lock up this star for more than a year like we did with Kawhi Leonard? And we got a lot to offer. The Toronto Raptors. Masai Ujiri is not afraid to trade. He's done a lot of trades over the years. Grabbed Marc Gasol, grabbed Kawhi Leonard that helped lead the way to their championship run. Then obviously moved some pieces around, got rid of Norman Powell and stuff like that. But this has an interesting roster. Fred VanVleet, Gary
Yes.
Trent Jr., OG Anunoby, Scotty Barnes, Pascal Siakam is still there. They have a lot of interesting pieces. Is there any way that Masai Ujiri can get on board and just be like, hey, yeah, this might not be the number one place you want to be,
Yeah.
but we have a culture, we have a good, solid defense, we have a outstanding coach in Nick Nurse, and we could probably pair you up with OG Anunoby and Scotty Barnes.
Ooh.
Maybe Van Fleet might have to move up out of there, or maybe
Yeah. See.
you might have to part ways with OG and keep Scotty Barnes and Siakam and the
Oh.
boys there. But it's a lot of length and a lot of defense. Kind of reminds me of the Miami of the North. I'm just saying.
Yeah, no, that is a good team to put in there simply because of the players that they have, right? Like Precious, they have Boucher, they have all these depth pieces that played quality minutes for that they could entice the Jazz. Like, yeah, you're not gonna be good, you're not gonna be decent, you're gonna be bad, but you have pieces to build to the future with.
Fred VanVleet and OG Anunoby as a starting block is a little something there. At least.
I do believe OG would have to be included. My only question after that would they be willing to part with Fred or Gary Trent? It's one of those two. They can't keep both guards and then get Donovan. It's either Fred or Gary Trent and OG and then X amount of picks. And maybe like Precious also included because when Pascal came back, I believe Precious, his minutes started to go down, and then Boucher started playing better, so his minutes started. Precious can play small forward, power forward, center for you.
Yep.
Like that dude plays multitude. So if you can get OG, Precious, Fred or Gary Trent, and then 4 or 5 picks, because if you're getting those 3 players, you're not getting 8 picks. I'm sorry, it's not happening. Right. You get 4 or 5 picks with those 3 pieces. Danny Ainge's still going to say no because they want Pascal Siakam to go with it. And it's like, all right, bro.
Something wild. Something wild. Trust me. I know.
Yeah.
Ainge is an
yes,
asshole.
you do.
And he is an asshole.
Like, he's made some good trades in the past, but he is definitely one person where it's like, you're not going to finesse me. I'm going to do my best to finesse you.
Yeah.
And it can't happen. Oh, well, we're going to stay sucking or we're going to do whatever. But the Heat or the Raptors for Donovan, I think that could put either team in serious contention.
That's exactly how I feel. Like I said, it's locked up a little bit longer than Kawhi. We've seen Ujiri has literally no problem trading people away and trying to take the plunge. And I think adding a Donovan Mitchell to this roster could be rather interesting. As we have a comment, what is up from Big Dips on Ice? Pleasure to have you joining us. We actually just finished up ranting about Donovan Mitchell and what the hell the Jazz can do. Some of the teams we threw out were Miami, the Knicks, the Pacers, and the Toronto Raptors, as you just heard. Let me know down below.
I would believe also the Raptors would rather do that trade, getting Donovan Mitchell, a younger player, not as many injuries, And obviously Kevin Durant has been the name linked to the Raptors, but Scotty Barnes ain't going anywhere.
Nope.
Scotty Barnes is not going anywhere. And if you can get Donovan next to Scotty, that sounds nice, dude. That sounds so nice.
That's why, like I said, I had a couple random little pieces to throw out there, but I like the Toronto Raptor trade. But nonetheless, enough of Donovan Mitchell. Switching on over, pivoting course to some of the younger studs in the league. We got Summer League has concluded. Congratulations to the Portland Trail Blazers for being Summer League champions.
Hey, who won Summer League MVP? Trendon Watford. What college he go to? They starting to take over, people.
I also believe he was second team. He was second team. Also, so
shout out people, by the way.
Yeah, which is funny because we're actually, before we start talking about all the rookies and stuff like that, there's actually a couple names I want to throw out. One being LSU's very own and Brooklyn Nets' very own Cam Thomas was lighting up something. 27.4 points per game through 5 games. It's not like he was playing 1 or 2. He was dishing out buckets over his 5 games, doing what he does. Moses Moody, 27.5 in his 2 games for Golden State, showing what the future can potentially hold for them. And Quentin Grimes, first team All Summer League, out of the New York Knicks. Thought on some of these second-year players and third-year players that are trying to get these minutes on some of these rosters.
I kind of expect this. You know, like second year, third year, and you've actually had some minutes in the NBA. You go into that summer league and you can't dominate the summer league, man.
Josh Giddey's dunking on people and
right. But no, it's good to see players just continue to grow. Right, staying with Cam Thomas. I know his Nets team, not the best, so he had to step up, score a lot of points. But it's what he does. It's what he did since college. It's what he showed he can do in the NBA. He just needs minutes.
Yep.
And if a Kyrie Irving trade does happen, that opens up minutes for him. Quentin Grimes, I believe I remember hearing his name when it was like college year was going on. You know, they were like, "Oh, look out for this kid."
He had a pretty good summer league last year too.
Yeah, and then he did okay, but it's the necessary steps. You weren't expected to be much when you got into the NBA. Just show you can do whatever, whenever, whatever's asked. Show you can do it, and you'll make a roster, right?
Yep.
DeJounte Murray, he posted a picture.
Yep.
Man averaged like 2 points his first year. And then he went to like 7 points. And then he went to 11 points. And then he went to like 15. Now he's at like your improvements are not going to be overnight. Just show you are improving, and people will get behind you, and you'll get the minutes you deserve, you know. So the second years, third years, I like seeing them in the summer league because, you know, they're about to go out and ball out against some of the rookies. And some of the rookies still were like, nah, bro, I don't care. You were in the league before. I'm here now, right? So kudos to everyone.
It's exactly how it is. And I like that you brought it up. Progress is obviously, you know, slow. If any of us remember, there's a screenshot somewhere of the 2K roster for the Bucks with Giannis and Chris Middleton as like 60 overalls. And now they're NBA champions.
Luka was like a 40 overall at one point. You know?
Right, whatever. Whatever. Back in whatever that was like
2K 14, 13 when they had the Euro teams. Yo, 2K. Bring them back, bro. Like, y'all games suck. Just add more teams, more people. Get us more accustomed to the overseas, you know? Just saying, Luka was y'all's lowest rated player, and now the man's about to be a 99 in like no time. So
he's a god. But nonetheless, some more rookies that ended up making all NBA or all summer league teams, I should say. We had Tari Eason of the Houston Rockets.
Where he go? Where he go?
Yeah. LSU. They're doing their thing. Tari Eason, Houston, looking like they have quite a few of their picks over the last few years seem to have panned out. Just gonna have to see how it all meshes together. Obviously, as mentioned, Grimes, Thomas was also all NBA, all summer league first team, and then Keegan Murray, the number 4 pick, we'll talk about a little bit more. Also, buckets, man. Ben Mathurin made second team. So a lot of rookie representation, obviously, throughout. And then, you know, we got the big names. Paolo Banchero, the number 1 overall pick, lit it up in only
20 of them things.
It only took 2 games, and they said, hey, that is all we had to see from this guy. Thoughts early on Paolo Banchero?
A bucket. Man's a bucket, yes. And the question marks around him was his defense.
Yep.
And he showed, like, yo, I'm here to play. I'm here to get that next contract, and I want to win. Yep. And that man's a block where they were like, oh, did he foul? And then, that game in general, that was a wild game. But that block was fantastic. My one thing I did not like about it, he played Jabari Smith, right?
Yes, he got the block on Jabari Smith, just as the one you're talking about. Yep.
The game where they're like, we're going to sit him is against the Thunder. Maybe give the people what they want. And you know the people wanted to see Paolo and Chet on the floor. People wanted to see it because it's 1 versus 2.
Yep.
Obviously, they were like, we've seen enough. And I understand it because what if he got injured in that game, right? And then we're sitting here like, why did the Magic even play him in the game? It didn't matter. They knew what he is. They see what he can be. They pulled him. They pulled him for a good reason. You know, there was no reason for him to continue, right? He showed he was number one for a reason. I just really wanted to see him versus Chet.
Yeah. Diplo says everyone was giving the Magic some shit for drafting him instead of Jabari, but he is special and he does got the swagger. I think it has to do with some Duke basketball. I think Coach K, all of Coach K's players, as you can see over the years, have some sort of a swagger, some sort of a confidence when they come out. Kyrie, Jason Tatum, Brandon
JJ Redick to
Ingram,
some extent.
JJ Redick. JJ Redick was built different, but all these guys sort of they carry themselves different. They go to one of the greatest college basketball universities ever established. They are coached by one of the greatest coaches ever. So it is good, and it's funny that you said he was a bucket because one of the thoughts are maybe Coach K hindered his walking bucket ability because it is such a team first minded, get everyone involved. And again, when you go to Duke, you go to North Carolina or Kentucky and in Kansas, there's a bunch of 5-star recruits all over the place, and everyone's at the top of the class. So potentially getting him in Orlando was a match made in heaven because they don't got a whole lot going on in Orlando, but they will definitely be making some improvements. One of those teams that we talked about making small improvements over the years. 2 more players, I'm going to link them together back to back. Chet Holmgren obviously had the outstanding game.
And then he got
23, 7, and 4, 4 steals, 6 blocks, bangs, and 4 threes. And then Jabari Smith obviously was able to go out and play, showing Houston got an absolute walking bucket. Beautiful, nice shooting stroke. But the 2 guys that, when the number 2 pick came on, OKC had a tough decision. But thoughts on Jabari Smith and Chet Holmgren's early thoughts on what we got to see out of the Summer League?
Yeah, obviously this is just Summer League. And, we're sitting here like, oh, they were great, they were this, they were that. And Summer League can only be taken with a grain of salt because we've seen players go in and absolutely dominate and they don't do anything. And we've seen players, struggle, but they were able to figure it out when it mattered and they were playing real games in the NBA. I know with Jabari Smith, there were a lot of people like, oh, I see why he fell. The question marks are there. He's not as aggressive. He's not, it's just Summer League. He's not playing with Jalen Green. He's not playing with, Kevin Porter Jr. if he's still there. He was playing with Christopher. He was playing with some people who's probably going to start. Tari Eason, I feel like, could start for the Rockets day one. Man showed he'll play the defense. He can score when asked. He'll pass the ball. And that goes back to college. Like, he was a transfer to LSU. When he transferred to LSU, they expected him to be the starter. And then they were like, can you be our 6th man? Sure. Having him next to Jabari Smith, that defense will come together. Jalen Green isn't known for his defense, right?
Nope.
Kevin Porter Jr. not known for his defense. They're scorers. But when you add 2 forwards like Smith and Eason, who are like, yo, let's get this defense going, it'll lead to the offense, Jalen Green will probably buy into that. It's all about getting the people around your star to buy into. And I do believe Jabari Smith and Tari Eason are the right people to put around Jalen Green. And they still got Sengun. That Rockets team, very young, but they could be a team we're talking about in the near future.
I agree. Chet Holmgren.
Man does what he does. He scores, he blocks. He got bullied by Kenny. He got bullied by Kenneth, and that was his question mark was, what's your strength like? I'm not about to be like, oh, because of that game, he's going to get snapped in half. Nah, he did get bullied. It happens. It happens to the best of them, all right? Just give the man some time, fill out his frame a little bit more. But he already showed you, like,
Flash.
Why you drafted me is what I do. Yep. The man would shot like 50, 40, 100 last I saw in the Summer League, right? Like, the man's a bucket. He'll block your shot. And if he don't fit at your 5, he can run your 4, and guess who can be your 5? Victor. And then the Thunder just running the league for the next 20 years.
God, no. But yeah, I think both these guys fell into sort of perfect situations. Chet goes to OKC. They already have a bunch of young guys that they're all trying to develop. There's not a lot of huge expectation on him to come in and change the life of the franchise. He's not expected to have some sort of a Zion impact where Zion went to the Pelicans and he was the world saver and everything is great now. Where we're into the promised land or whatever. I don't think that's it for
Man's
him.
played 50 games and got a
You know
$200
what I
million
mean?
contract.
I think he landed in a great spot where he has two very good guards. I absolutely love
Yes.
Josh Giddey and Shea Gilgeous-Alexander. I think Lou Dort fitting in as sort of in the wing, being able to play some defense,
Yep.
developing his three ball quite a bit. They've had some playoff experience, obviously, already when Chris Paul was there.
Oh, yes. The
And
GOAT.
obviously, they're developing. He fits in nicely as being the front court big 4-5. We'll see what Pokusevski turns out to and stuff like that. But they definitely have to fill out that front court. But they got the Slim Reaper of their own
Yes.
to absolutely help it out. And Jabari, uh, another guy, fell into really good situation. Young head coach and Paul Silas, who I think is going to be one of the more talked about head coaches, maybe not this year, but maybe in the coming years, like you mentioned. A lot of development. They have a lot of scoring power. Jalen Green, Kevin Porter Jr., Tari Eason just goes first team, and then Jabari Smith on his own. And then Sengun is just an all-around amazing player. Analytically, last year there was reports that he could have went number one just based off the metrics and the stats and all the other analytics and yada
Yeah.
yada yada, and
Yeah.
just the way he impacts the game in general. Joshua Christopher is another guy we talked about. This team is just loaded with tons of young
Usman
guys.
Garuba was drafted to be a defensive guy. You know,
You know what I
like
mean?
they
They just have
have,
so
yes.
many young pieces over down there in Houston that he doesn't have to be the number one guy. He can
Yep.
absolutely be the number two, number three. Although when he is going to step up and be the number one, he's going to absolutely show that he has all the intangibles to do it. Ice says Chet is amazing, but he has to gain some weight. He's not going to be able to rebound with the bigs. Imagine one-on-one with Giannis. Yes, it is going to be absolutely brutal for him. A lot of those guys out there in the West are going to be a problem. I'm looking at Rudy Gobert isn't the greatest back to the basket big man, but it's you telling me he's not going to be licking his chops
Right.
the second he sees who's on him
I
and it's
mean,
Chet Holmgren. Come on now.
even
Carl
his
Anthony
partner,
Towns,
yeah,
Anthony Davis. I'm looking at Jokic. Yusef
DeAndre
Nurkic in
Ayton,
Portland is not a bum. DeAndre Ayton is
Valanciunas,
not a bum.
Jaren Jackson when he
There is
comes
a
back,
lot of guys
Steven
out there in the
Adams,
West that are
like
going to absolutely move this man around. It's going to be interesting. I absolutely agree with that. And he also said super excited about Jaden Ivey, who is actually the next guy
yes,
we're going to talk about because it's another couplet because it also came down to a very interesting decision. We had Keegan Murray, who, as previously mentioned, was all Summer League first team, and then a young Jaden Ivey, who's being a lot of love as being the next sort of Ja Morant prototype
oh
type
goodness,
point guard
yep,
player that we're seeing is the super athletic and flashy um,
yep,
backcourt players that are coming into this league. Looking at Jalen Green last year with G League Ignite, super excited, super athletic, high flying, dunks everywhere. But we'll start with the fourth overall pick, and the guy that you keep chanting about, MVP Keegan
yes.
Murray. Thoughts on Murray's summer league because the dude was a bucket, and then let me know
I
about
mean,
Jaden
yeah,
Ivey.
bucket, boards, assists, defense. He literally did it all. He did everything for the Kings, and
Yep.
that is what we expected. I know we were at one point like, yeah, if they take him, it's fine.
Yep.
Obviously, the Kings wanted to trade back in their track record of drafting, and then the player directly after becomes pretty much a Hall of Famer already. It happens.
Yep.
It happens, you know. But Keegan Murray, he's a little bit older, more mature than maybe an 18, 19-year-old kid who's coming in and is like, oh, you drafted me fourth overall. That must mean you want me to be the best on the team. Nah, Keegan's going to come in and be like, what do you need me to do?
Yep.
Learn from Harrison Barnes. Pair well with De'Aaron Fox, slashing, kick out, cut. Keegan and Domantas Sabonis, who I hope Sabonis runs the 5 for the Kings, you know, for
He'll
the
run
rest of
he'll
his
run
career,
sometimes.
you know.
He'll run sometimes there.
But Keegan next to him at the 4, or even, you know, they get another Keegan with the Kings.
Was the right way to go.
Yes. It was probably the only way to go if they weren't offered some crazy package for that 4th overall pick.
Yep.
Jaden Ivey next to De'Aaron, it would have been cool, but it feels like they're the same.
Yep.
And sometimes, you know, like with De'Aaron and Tyrese, it worked well because Tyrese was that playmaker. He is that playmaker, right? I'm not knocking De'Aaron Fox for his playmaking ability. I'm not even going to knock Jaden Ivey for his playmaking because I don't know what he's going to do. We don't know what Jaden Ivey's going to do in the league, right? Fit wise, Keegan Murray fit better than what Jaden Ivey did for the Kings. Or yeah, it makes sense. I mean,
Yep. Ice says that once he's seen him, he knew the kid was absolute NBA ready. It's just a matter of the Kings being the Kings, as we pretty much know how they are. Like you mentioned, they tend to be bad in the draft, but probably got the best player available at the time. But another guy that was also available, Jaden Ivey, and these upstart Detroit
yes.
Pistons that I feel like we're starting to come around to these Pistons right now. We
Hey,
we both seem to love this young
definitely.
core. And
Yeah.
I think we're excited to see what's coming next. Obviously, we saw Jaden Ivey throw some amazing lobs and do some flashy things
Did he
in
ever
summer league.
return after his ankle injury? Like, did he play after that? Because I didn't catch any Piston
I
games after Jaden got hurt, to be honest.
I do not recall. I know
Yeah.
Shaden Sharp is done for like a month or two
Yeah.
out in Portland, so it's gonna be interesting to see.
Yeah.
Ivy, I was not fully caught up on
From what
him,
we've
but I
seen
don't think
from
he did.
Ivy, though,
Mhm.
I don't believe he would either. But from what we've seen next to Ivy, it, it was correct. All the reports were correct. That man's going to come in, drop buckets,
Yep.
and his fit next to Cade, it will seem seamless.
Yep.
Like, Cade cuts, Ivy in the three. Ivy cuts, Cade cuts. You know, it just seems like they are a match made for each other at the guard spot. 6'6", 6'4" ish, right? Like they're
Ivy
not
6'4".
short.
Yep.
They're not short guards. They're not going to have the question marks of, oh, well, he can't play defense and he can't play defense. All they can do is score. They can both give effort defensively because they're not that short. They have high motors.
Yep.
But it's not just Ivy on the Pistons. They traded for Duren.
Yep.
Isaiah Stewart,
Yep.
man, wants to shoot the three ball now. Apparently he did it in high school, and then like when he got to the Pistons and they were like, can you be a little more of our center? And now that they have Duren, he's like, I'm going to start stepping out. If
Yep.
Isaiah Stewart starts shooting threes, and he's their four, right? And then Marvin Bagley is there, who they re-signed, and he showed progress with the Pistons. And then you have Sadiq Bey, and you have
Yep.
Saban Lee, and you have the young teams in the NBA are very exciting because it's like they could become something in
They
the
have to have
future.
something because they're not
Right.
great, so they have to at least be exciting.
The only thing that makes me nervous is obviously the money is going to be an issue, so they won't be able, all the teams, Thunder, Rockets, Magic, Pistons, like all these young teams, they're going to have to pay people.
Exactly.
It's going to happen.
Yep.
I just don't want them to pay the wrong people and then say like a Cade leaves to go to the Lakers or they leave to go to. I want these small market teams who are drafting well.
Yep.
To actually get rewarded for it. I don't want it to be like, oh, y'all drafted amazingly.
You're basically saying
and now they're just being.
Don't be OKC.
Yeah.
Don't lose Durant, Harden, Ibaka, and Westbrook.
Yeah, pretty much. Like try
and Steven
your
Adams
best.
And everything else.
Try your best to keep your team together because it looks like with a little bit of time, it will pay off.
Yep.
But you gotta be willing to spend that money and trade the right pieces.
Yeah, I hear
with Harden getting traded, it seemed at time for them it was the right piece, right? They had their guard, they had Durant, they had Ibaka. What if they kept Harden and traded Ibaka? I don't want to have that with the Pistons. What if they kept Jaden and they traded Sid? I don't want that for them. I want them to work out.
Work it all out. I hear it. That's going to do it all for Summer League. And we're going to wrap up to the back half of the show, the ending here. We're going to just do a bunch of way too early predictions and sort of awards because there's just no real reason to give.
The Detroit Lions win the Super Bowl. Oh, wrong sport. My bad.
God, no. For the mother of God. If somehow, some way, Jared Goff could even get them into the playoffs this season, that's winning the Super Bowl in itself. But since we're talking about all these young, upcoming guys, anyways, let's throw out the first way too early award to predict. Rookie of the Year, early favorites, Mamba, leading the pack out of Summer League. And obviously, we've seen a lot of these trades, a lot of these drafts. We're seeing how a lot of these rosters are already getting to be shaped out. So thoughts on early Rookie of the Year favorite? Your early favorite.
My early favorite, I have to give it to Paolo. Yeah, I really do. I understand there's a lot of pieces there.
Yep.
Like Franz just went off last year for him. Cole
Yep.
Anthony's had his time. I do believe Paolo will be the number one scorer for them. And if they can get Isaac back, like the defense surrounding him will help him. He'll
Yep.
get the boards. He showed he will pass. He showed like, yeah, I was drafted number one and I should be the one taking the shot. But no, when they went into OT and then they went to that double OT and it was first score wins,
Yep.
man could have taken a shot and been like, oh, I did it because, I wanted to show I could. Man made the right pass and they won the game for it. So he showed he's willing to do whatever, whenever. And Magic's had some pretty good options with that number one pick before. So I'm going to give it to Paolo. Cop out because he's number one, but oh well.
Hey, I hear, I respect it. I'm going to go down to the number 3 pick, Mr.
Okay.
Jabari Smith. I think he got a chip on his shoulder, and he's going to want to ball out early.
Okay.
Put in a
How
lot
many
of
chips?
work.
How many chips can be on the shoulder of people in that Rockets? I wasn't drafted number one.
Listen, he's going to most likely be their number one scoring option most of the year. I think he'll lead the rookies in scoring. I think he will have sort of a potential Evan Mobley effect where it's going to be almost sort of stand out clear that he's just a little bit better than everyone else, at least in year one, personally. And Ice believes Keegan Murray has a very legitimate chance.
I almost said him, but
that's why I was shocked. I thought that was going to be the way you were going. I think those are 3 very, very good options right there. I can see either one of them. I'm not counting
Murray could be like Scotty Barnes for this year.
Yes.
It is a very good, I'm showing the flashes of what I can do, and then he has that strong push to the end of the year, and it's like, yes. Yes, give him the award,
Yeah, no, exactly. That's why I feel like Jabari will have the Evan Mobley effect where it'll just be a very consistent play throughout the whole year, some flashes here and there. I think he's going to be a very good player in the league. Moving on, MVP early on, the winner. Me, personally, I am looking at the one and only Greek freak. Giannis, I believe, is going to have another outstanding year. And I'll even jump on over ahead. I think he's also going to be Defensive Player of the Year.
Yeah,
I think my man Giannis is going to be on a tear. And again, I'm saying Giannis, and I'm here dying on the stand.
Right.
And we have seen these men in the playoffs for so many years, on and off, going back to the Eric Bledsoe getting cooked up by Scary. I've had to deal with Giannis for so long, and I think it's just another season. I legitimately think they probably would have won the finals if they were healthy. I think if Chris Middleton's healthy, I said it here on this show on live, I think we would have lost to them if Chris Middleton was healthy. It took 7 games to beat them. An Al Horford a superhero game, a Grant Williams superhero game to beat this team. And I think he is just an absolute stud. And I think he's going to, again, rack up both this year. And I'm not alone because Ice thinks he's banking in on both of them too. So Mamba, MVP, and then I jumped the gun. So give me your Defensive Player of the Year also.
Realistically, it'd probably gonna be Giannis for both of them. But my MVP, I'm gonna go with Joel Embiid. I'm going with
it.
Embiid.
Is the year.
He's been close so many times.
I respect it.
As much as I would love, this is what I would love to see happen, right? Is Jokic win it again? And everybody's like, are you kidding me? This man does.
I'm not against
I would love to see Jokic
I'm not
win because Jokic about to put up some stupid numbers this year. You already know what's going to happen.
We love Jokic on this show.
Giannis, man's on a revenge tour. You do not want to be in the path of a pissed off Giannis. You don't, okay?
But Joel
Embiid, yes. They ain't giving it to Jokic because he's already won 2. Right?
Yeah, he's done.
Giannis is 1, 2, right?
Giannis is won.
He should probably have won about 4 or 5 by now, to be honest.
Is 1, 2.
Okay, so everyone knows voter fatigue comes in, and Joel being so close. I think this year they have a better team around them. They'll probably have a better record. I'm hoping. He'll put up the numbers that he did previously, if not better numbers. Like everyone gets better every year. It happens. Let's go, Joel. Squirrel it.
Joel Embiid,
Yes,
defensive
sir.
player of the year.
Giannis. I'm
Giannis.
not stupid. I'm not stupid.
I'm not.
All right. I know I picked Joel to win MVP, but maybe Draymond.
Yep.
Yo, maybe Marcus Smart again. Maybe DeJounte Murray playing next to Trae Young, right?
That would be
Like
nice. That
Giannis, though. Giannis guards everything, blocks everything, steals everything, does everything for you on defense. How does that man not win DPOY every year?
I hear it. I
And we
respect
forgot
it.
about Rudy.
I did not forget about Rudy.
I forgot about Rudy.
I did
but
not
he
forget
ain't
about
winning
Rudy.
it.
I did not forget about Rudy. One more. Number 1 seed for both conferences. The best teams of each conference. Bamba, who do you think will come out of the East as the number 1 team? At least in the regular
76ers.
season. The 76ers will be the number 1 team.
He's got my
in the
MVP,
regular
man.
season. Okay, and I guess that's sort of why I went with the Milwaukee Bucks.
Yeah.
I think this season is a lot like the season we saw a few years ago out of Giannis and this crew. I think they just got better all around.
Yes.
They keep bringing players in, keeping their core group of guys, and somehow
Re-sign
adding in
Portis.
more players.
Re-signing Ibaka after they trade for him. Connaughton, Wesley Matthews. That
They
Bucks
just
team
get
healthy
better,
is
bringing
very
in
scary.
Joe Ingles. They kept
Yes.
Javon Carter. They just keeping all of these players and ices on me with, again, going with the Milwaukee route. Again, I can
Not
see
a
the
bad pick.
76ers potentially going in. I absolutely love the addition of a PJ Tucker. Overpay?
Yes.
Probably.
It's 3 or 30 mil, right? That's
At
not an
37, 38?
37? Oh, that,
He's old. But I absolutely love Tyrese Maxey. I can see
D'Anthony Melton,
you know
Daniel
what
House.
I can see that. And then Miami, obviously, it's just
Yes.
how many times we got to talk about the culture and Jimmy Butler and
Yeah, they
Eric
win
Spoelstra.
games. That's what they do.
Even when they were bad, they were out
Right.
here still winning games. They couldn't crack into like a top 10 pick. They were always picking in the late lottery because they're just have always been a solidly consistent team. So Miami is another team I can see out there. Boston, it's not for the lack of trying. I think we definitely will be a top 3, maybe 4 seed. I think we'll have some very interesting the way the East is going to have to play out. There's been a lot of trades. Again, a team that we always talk about is the Nets. If they walk in with KD and Kyrie, they obviously have a chance to literally win the entire thing. But that is just such a huge question mark, so we'll have to see. Chicago, I don't think either one of us are sold on Chicago, especially after how bad they performed last season. Atlanta and the Knicks are probably still a few pieces away. The Knicks definitely a few pieces away. Atlanta's slowly getting there. But again, it's the regular season. We see all types of different teams. Toronto was one of the best teams in the regular season for years with Lowry and
the
DeMar.
Hawks were a 1 seed one year and got bounced.
You know what I
almost
mean?
Yeah,
There's all types
the Jazz
in the regular season. Yeah, but like I said, Bucks and 76ers, I like those 2 options. Out west, we're going to go down to the comments because we got Ice believes that it's sadly going to be the Warriors walking out as the number 1 team of the West, leading the way. Mamba, what are your thoughts on who leads the way here as a number 1 seed?
Don't hate me. All right. I'm going with the Clippers.
Strictly
by I would love the Clippers to be 1 seed, but if I'm gonna put realism into this one because I went out east. I picked the 76ers and Joe. It's probably the Warriors. That team is just stupid stacked. They have Curry. Curry could make a run for MVP again.
Yes, he could.
They have Clay, who is healthy. They have Wiseman coming back. They have Moses, who just dropped like 30 a game. They have Kuminga. That team is just, barring any Kevin Durant trade where they gut their team for him. But even still, trading for Kevin Durant, that team's probably the number 1 seed, right? Like,
easily.
That Warriors team is stupid. They are the team to beat.
Kevin Durant is arguably the favorite.
Yes. Oh, I don't think this Nets team's the favorite right now. Just saying.
Whoa. I don't know.
I don't
If
think
they
Kevin
bring
Durant
all
being
these
traded
guys,
to the Hornets, they're favorites.
no. But hey,
Yeah.
LaMelo Ball and KD, that might be something nice.
Hey,
But
that might be.
I hear it. The team that I'm going with, I'm going actually, like I said, it's regular season, man. I'm going a little bit left field. Denver Nuggets.
I love it.
Jokic getting some of his support back, getting back Michael Porter Jr., bringing back Jamal Murray.
Hey,
Who's to say they cannot
keep
make
that back healthy, man.
a solid run, especially again throughout the regular season? They might not be the world beaters and title favorites, but in the regular season, they making trades and trying to rebuild this roster, bringing in KCP. The Aaron Gordon trade I've talked about on here numerous amount of times. I still hate it, still don't get it. Hopefully they can fix it.
Bring Carmelo back.
No. But this is just another team has a foundation with Jokic, and he's not going anywhere.
Potential MVP,
reigning MVP, always gets up to the playoffs. I think I believe they were a 1 seed a few years back. I know they've been the 3rd seed before. Obviously, the 6th seed this year, literally missing their 2 best players. I think with some more health, added depth, getting your 2 best players back with your reigning MVP is gonna go a long way. Literally adding, I'm telling, legitimately adding a 20 point per game score to 20, 23, 24, however you want to sum up Jamal Murray. He's been a solid 20, and then Michael Porter Jr. for the last few years is sort of being billed as Durant-esque, sort of has all these intangibles, and the guy that I more so look like where he can have sort of not his ceiling because maybe they could match or not. Brandon Ingram. All-star, most improved, a smooth 24 points per game. If his ceiling is Brandon Ingram with Jokic and Jamal Murray, I don't see why this team can't at least be a force to be reckoned with in the regular season.
Before we get off this, you bringing up the Pelicans with a healthy Zion. Where do you see them finishing?
That's sort of the big question: is how healthy is Zion? If Zion is healthy,
that man's healthy. He didn't play at all last year.
They're going to legitimately push a top 6 seed, and they'll be out of the play-in. They won't have to worry about the play-in with a absolutely healthy Zion. Could they push 4? Maybe they could potentially push the top 4 because of all of the young. They're young. They're still really young. Still have Devontae Graham there. They still have.
Yeah, but we can push it to the side.
Zion, Jackson Hayes, Brandon Ingram still young. CJ has been healthy for the most part.
Not young, but is nice.
Healthy enough. Herb Jones.
Yeah.
I believe Trey Murphy had just gone off for them in the summer league.
Jose
Alvarado. Still have Valanciunas. Like they still have a bunch of these pieces that they can make a legitimate run. Because who's to say the Lakers kissed and made up, but who's to say they're going to dominate the regular season?
Did they though?
Say, you got your Clippers, but
we're coming back. Yeah, okay. I'll come back.
Those Clippers of yours are going to be healthy and be clicking on all cylinders. Who's to say that?
Ooh. Dwight Howard. Sign Dwight Howard Clippers for a backup big. Thank you.
Maybe. Who's to say Memphis is going to be making this giant leap back up? They're going to be starting the season without Jaren Jackson, if I'm not mistaken. He's going to be not starting the season. So there's a lot to go along. Portland's another team. Things might not mesh the way that it seemed like. Luka's, sort of looking beautiful and all, but come on now. There's a lot riding along. And we do have a quick question down below. If Donovan stays in the current roster, predicting Utah seeding, he has them going 7 8, being in the play-in nonetheless. But we just talked about a lot.
I give him 11th.
Oof. Let's see. We have the Warriors. We have the Suns. We can throw both LA teams in there, in the Clippers and the Lakers. We have the Pelicans, who were just in there last season. We got Memphis. That's going to be a tough one. We got an up-and-coming Luka Doncic.
Might be able to push them.
Then we have some teams out there like the Kings down there, Jazz. It's going to be
honestly, I'm only thinking the team that they're only better than is the Spurs right now out west.
It's gonna be interesting.
7th or 8th seed. That's Donovan Mitchell showing that he is the true superstar. Yeah,
exactly. And like I mentioned before, he's gonna have to have the Damian Lillard, Jokic, Luka, Hell, Russell Westbrook when he was with OKC, they were at least the 6th seed. He was
Rockets,
always constantly
Thunder.
fighting. He's gonna
Would
have to
you
prove that he is a
would
legit
you rather
bona
the
fide.
Jazz, Rockets, or Thunder? Out of those 3 teams, which team is the best team?
The best team?
Yeah.
Again, that's going to come down to Utah still has a legitimate chance of being the best team there. Donovan Mitchell is the best player on either of the 3 teams. And then you have, obviously, Conley and Jordan Clarkson. Have to see what Malik Beasley is going to look like. He's floated around as a highly...
Beverly,
You know what I mean?
piece.
There's still a lot of pieces.
I don't like this guy's team.
On Whiteside, like they have some pieces there. Still have Bogdanovich. Like they still have a lot of pieces there where I can see where they can still be in the play-in, and they might not be a team you want to see in the play-in because
Maybe
we've
not.
seen if Donovan Mitchell has any of them flashes of what they've done.
Yep.
He did sort of in the bubble, sort of a one game end all be all. Yeah, you got to be careful because catching this guy white hot, he drops a quick, smooth 50 on you in the playing game, you're out of it.
Yeah.
I'm looking at John knocking off Steph Curry and the Warriors a couple years ago. You catch one of these young up-and-coming guys white hot, I don't want to play Donovan Mitchell in the play-in. I know I don't.
Yeah.
He can drop a quick 40 on me, and we're going home. That plain and simple. The play-in is just such a deadly game, and a guy like that who's just literally a walking bucket from anywhere since he stepped into the league is scary. I absolutely would fear Donovan Mitchell in a play-in scenario. Throughout the course of a regular season, that's to be determined. But a game for his life, again, gives me potential Damian Lillard vibes in the bubble, man. We just want a chance. We just want a chance to get in. Got that opportunity.
That's a shame. They're going to make the playoffs and get swept in 3.
You never know. You never know. We got some Boogie underrated. Boogie Cousins. Is he down there now? Oh, they did kiss and make up, didn't they?
Who?
Boogie?
To who? Who did Boogie go to? Do not.
I might be thinking of
Boogie is not about to make the Jazz playoff team. I'm sorry.
Big Ice thinks that they should just essentially rebuild.
I agree.
And it's okay.
There's a kid named Victor.
And hear everything we said about where Donovan Mitchell can go, because that's going to do it for us over here. Like I said, we will not be back for until next Friday.
About a week and a half.
We will be back next Friday. Talk about all the wild shit that I'm going to be experiencing in the wrestling world. Like I said, Death Before Dishonor and AEW. And then, man.
Whatever else happens in the sports world.
I'm trying to think. We'll be back here August 3rd. Wow. For all things
everything.
NBA and
football, wrestling.
Oh, Bogdanovich of the Jazz. Yes. He is underrated, absolutely. But yes, we'll see where Donovan Mitchell lands, if he lands anywhere. We'll see Kyrie and KD drama. And on the football spectrum, is Deshaun Watson done? I don't know. He's planning on suing if he gets suspended. Jimmy Garoppolo might be on a new team. All that and more. August 3rd, if you're here for all of the wonderful football stuff, be here next Friday on the 29th for all wild and wacky shit wrestling. Thank you, Big Ice, for joining us. Have a good one. Thank you for being
here. Dude.
Appreciate it. Mamba, let the folks that tune in later on figure
Just
out.
Flick it. Like,
it, baby.
Comment, share, subscribe. Noti's on.
Noti's
Simple
on.
as that.
Have a good one, folks. Stay tuned.